Hello everyone, this is Barry Skulski from the home team, and we're actually at my house today, and I'm with Chris from TS Heating and Air Conditioning, and we're talking about the importance of doing furnace checkups and cleaning and servicing your HVAC system, and why you want to do that, and what kind of things he looks at when he's doing like a service or a furnace inspection, and going through there. So luckily I just had him out at my house about a month and almost 2 months ago now, and he actually caught a cracked heat exchanger in my furnace and replaced that for me. So anyways, let's look at our furnace, my furnace, and we'll go from there. So say hello, Chris.
Hello.
And so what all do we look at here when you're doing these? What's the importance of keeping it maintained, this HVAC system?
Safety is the important thing, and then to make sure that we have heat in the winter. First, look at the flue pipe, make sure it's not rusted and rotted out, which this got all changed because it did have issues.
Yep.
Furnace filters, those have to be changed. We look at the burners, the ignition.
And the furnace filters, how often do you want those changed? About every 6 months? Or?
1-inch filter every 30 days.
Oh, okay.
Even though they say can last up to 3 months, that's if your furnace isn't running, maybe over the fall and the spring. During operation, those need to be changed every 30 days. There's just restrictions in the air filter cause more problems than, and it costs you money too.
Right.
This machine's designed to move air. If I can't move that amount of air through the heat exchanger, one heat exchanger overheats, and you're spending more money in fuel to heat the air because we're just not moving as much. So
okay.
Check the air filter, change it. Yours is inside the furnace.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are just drop-ins on the outside, but this one's actually inside. And you can see it's been almost 2 months now, and it's got a nice coating of dust on it, even for as little as your furnaces run. So
I need to replace it again.
This one would be time to change the air filter.
Okay.
Start with that. But it's just, from my point, just looking at things, checking operation, and making sure everything's doing what it's supposed to be doing.
Okay. So you dive into the
These are your burners,
right?
The flame's actually at the other end where it goes inside and runs through the heat exchanger, and then all of it's drawn out through the exhaust here.
Okay. Now, one of the things that came up when you inspected mine was that there was a cracked heat exchanger.
Yes.
And luckily mine was one that could be replaced. Some of them can't without replacing the whole furnace.
Older furnaces, anything older than 20 years old is pretty much
right. And this furnace was actually put in by my brother-in-law, and this furnace is only probably 16, 17 years old. Right. So it's not like this was a really old furnace or anything like that. It was actually just, this actually needed to be replaced.
The heat exchanger heats up, expands and contracts. The metal works back and forth, how many cycles a day, every year. It's just that the expansion and contraction that happens that will cause failures if
Sure.
not looked at.
So if you have a cracked heat exchanger, it starts to emit carbon monoxide.
It starts leaking carbon monoxide into the house.
And that's a bad thing.
That is a very bad
because
thing.
the very first thing out of my mouth was, hey, I have 2 carbon monoxide detectors, one in my basement, and then I have one in my hallway upstairs, and neither of them went off. And your response was a really good response. It was, well, unless they're in your ductwork, you may not be able to detect that there's carbon monoxide.
And my detector's a little better than what you can buy off the shelf. I mean, I actually put it in the supply air and look for leaks and things like that. And when I see a reading that tells me that there is something leaking, I then have an inspection camera with a 3-foot lead that actually goes up in the heat exchanger, and I can take video and pictures of the inside and see.
Okay, so what is like a normal level of carbon monoxide?
Zero.
And then you actually took apart my carbon monoxide detector before we went live here, and it was talking about how it was 400 parts per.
The timing on a standard off-the-shelf carbon monoxide detector, one of the round ones you can get, will have response times on them.
And mine was 4 to 15 minutes, which is a really wide
4 to
range.
15 minutes at 400 parts per million. It has to get up to that level for 4 to 15 minutes before it will alarm. My detector in the duct was reading 35, 40 parts per million, but mine will read 0 to 1,000 in 40 seconds.
Sure.
So a little more sensitive. Your home carbon monoxide detector alarms, open the windows, leave the house.
Right. Right.
Get some fresh air. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anything else that we need to look at on this? I mean, on a normal inspection, I know you check like fan operation and.
We check ignition. This one does not have a pilot. It's got a hot surface igniter on the bottom of the pilot tube. So it does light a pilot, but it does that automatically. Then it lights the burners, and then we check sequence of operation. We have pressure switches and draft motors and safeties for the flame and high limit protection. We check all of those and make sure they're working. Door safety switches, so you can't open the furnace up and stick your hand in while the fan's running.
Yeah, that would be kind of a bad thing.
Especially since your filter's inside. Normal things like that. We look for, this being an 80% furnace, we don't have issues with water and drainage like we do on the high efficiencies. High efficiencies produce water. We have condensate that has to be drained off, so then we have drain tubing and things of that nature. But that's not present on this furnace. But those are the things we look at. And then when we fire it up, we make sure everything's operating, we have no carbon monoxide, and that the furnace is safe.
Okay. And then when you come out and you do the inspection, you always put a nice sticker on there so that people know when it's been inspected last. And then how often do you suggest doing like a service on your HVAC system?
The older the equipment every year, every season. Let's get somebody out here to look at it, make sure everything's in place. Can't really predict when a motor's going to fail, but at least you might be able to hear some bearing noise or some things like that we could save a cold night.
Right. And if you stay up on your servicing, then you run a decreased risk then of having a cracked heat exchanger or something like that, because things don't overheat as easily.
Changing the air filters and just getting somebody to come out and look and make sure that there's no issues, nothing that could be unsafe or a problem in the future. Yeah, it's squeaking now. It might only last so long. You want to get that taken care of now or in the future.
Sure. Okay. And then how much is a typical service that you would, call that you would normally do for just for
a
people?
Cleaning and service is only $85.
Great. Okay.
And that gets us out, gets us to check everything out. At that point, if we find a major problem, then we bring it to your attention.
And then if somebody wants to contact you, the best way is to contact the 288-1941 number.
1941, schedule an appointment. We'll get out and take a look at it.
All right, great. Well, thanks for coming out and doing our Facebook Live this week. And
You're welcome.
thanks for all the help with my own house.
You're welcome.
Talk to you guys later. Bye.